Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And I wanted to do this lesson dealing with, basically, I think at this point we can all see, right, what the Lord is doing upon the face of the planet Earth. And I have a couple of precepts here, which in fact I want to start with this one in Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7, right, which is one we bring out a lot. But we can all see that we're pretty much there. Okay, this time of great trouble is now upon us. This is Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Okay, and this time of Jacob's trouble is going to be a time of tribulation upon the face of the earth, unlike anything that the likes of, history has ever seen. And that's what the Lord says. Okay, but, this lesson is more so on the side of, did you think that we would be warning forever? Because you have a lot of people that tend to get complacent. They look at the warnings, right, when they see the prophets out there as basically like a decoration, right, like another part of society. When you go to New York or when you go over here, yeah, you got the delis and the bodegas, you got the prophets on the corner, right, the street preachers, you got these guys over here, and then you got that over there. And that's what they look at it as. As the scriptures say in the book of Psalms, chapter, let me get that real quick. And it's going to be a very rude awakening as, people are starting to see that the Lord is doing it. When a new technology or product comes out, sometimes they roll it out, as they say, right, to certain, maybe like a high tier first, and then mid tier, and then everybody else gets access to it. So what the Lord is doing, right, with this pain, with the suffering, is you have some that are feeling, right, the winds of it already. And you have others that are seeing it, and then you have some that is just not clicking for. But as the Lord continues to roll out Jacob's trouble in its phases, it's going to eventually it's going to intensify more and more and more till it hits peak. And when it hits peak, you won't be able to tell the difference between what you're seeing and what you read in these precepts, like 2 Ezra 15, 16, and all the other precepts that describe this time of Jacob's trouble, because that's at the point of its peak. But the Lord is going to have it so the world is going to witness and see and fear the wrath of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai. This is Psalms chapter 49, Psalm 49, verse 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. And the inward thought, okay, which is that what they think, okay, within, as it says, their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names, okay, and that's the mindset, which is why they're complacent. As the Lord is bringing these plagues, as they've always been, they've been warned throughout various generations of the Lord sending his men, his prophets, to teach, to warn, and Jay completely disregards it until they're in trouble. Then they turn around and pray unto the Lord. But there's a difference this time. As the angel Uriel told Ezra, this time it's not going to be a matter of the Lord having mercy on all for the sake of a few. No. Now, you're getting, this is the time where the Lord's long suffering has come to an end. This time, he's not punishing in measure. He's punishing the wicked to destruction and delivering the righteous from the chaos of that. This is Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 18. Therefore hear ye nations, and know, O congregation, what is among them. Hear, O earth, behold, I will bring evil upon this people, even the fruit of their thoughts, because they have not hearkened unto my words, nor to my law, but rejected it. So as a result, just like the Lord brought evil upon them back then, the scriptures say that the Lord changes not. So why did he bring evil upon them? You know, I've given this example before. If if you got arrested 10 years ago, right, for robbery, what do you think is going to happen if you go and rob again 10 years later? You're going to get arrested. So it doesn't matter that the arrest happened 10 years ago. It was an effect for a cause that remains, right? So if you go and rob again, guess what? You're going to get arrested. So similarly, just like Israel, did not hearken to the words of the Lord, and he brought evil upon them then, they're not hearkening to the words of the Lord now. So what is he going to do? He's going to bring evil upon them now. And as you're seeing, hey, Brakataya Hawaba Shami Hawashai, for opening up our eyes to be able to see these things and watch it play out. But you have individuals that are oblivious to it, right? They have been blinded to the impending destruction that is before them, and they're going to get caught up in it. Okay, they're going to be victims of, the ending up in these detention centers. Okay, which are only going to get, the conditions there are only going to get worse and worse. Okay, this economy tanking, right? You got gold and silver. Shit. Usually gold would go up in certain situations, but silver really wouldn't go up that much. But now it's been jumping. Okay, and it's just like every other day it's hitting all-time highs. That should tell you something. That's an indicator as well. But they don't want to take heed. They don't want to listen. They think that some way, somehow, it's going to work itself out. What is going to work itself out is the question, right? The it part. What's that? Oh yeah, it is what it is. What it is, huh? Yeah, let me see if I can just find this here. The funny thing about that statement, it is what it is when that statement actually comes to pass and it's affecting you physically, then it's not what it is anymore, right? Imagine somebody who says it is what it is. Then they end up becoming a victim of this judgment. And then you tell them, oh, what it is, and see how they react to that. That's why the Lord said his people are foolish. They're stupid. They're sottish. They're delusional at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to. They're delusional. You're living on a coast or beachside. There's a storm coming. They're warning you about it. And you're saying, no, I'm going to stay in this house and continue to cook. And it is what it is. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So you don't know what happens when a storm is coming and you okay. So you just leave them because they want to see what happens. You shouldn't stop them from wanting to see what happens. Right, it says here, Senate Democrats block GOP plan for 10th time, ensuring shutdown lasts into next week. Yeah, they're doing that so you can feel the pain. But they're delusional. So they think, oh, it's some way, somehow, it's just going to work itself out. And then that allows them to try and, maintain this ignorance is bliss lifestyle. Meanwhile, you can see that this kingdom that you're trying so hard to cling onto, it's failing. It's not the same. You're trying to get to a place where you could really only reach decades ago, right? Maybe a decade or some years ago, but that's gone. So all the hard work you're putting in now, it's not going to get you to where you thought you were going to get. When you were younger and you were like, oh, I want to go to school, I want to do this, I want to end up here. And now you get the opportunity to do that. It's not going to lead you to the place you saw when you were a kid. Now it's just going to lead you to just basically surviving, running on the hamster wheel. And that not even just the hamster wheel, the house is about to be destroyed. But you know what? It's here now. So, you could see for yourself. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 8, verse 50. Now, keep in mind, this time is something that's a time that's been spoken of for thousands of years. Not tens, not hundreds, but thousands. Okay? And now it's upon us. So just know it's going to be every bit as bad and worse as we've been telling you. 2nd Ezra 8 and 50, for many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. right? But for the elect, those that have listened and are obedient to the Lord, you're going to see just how life-saving isn't even enough. Even that is an understatement, but just how blessed you were or are to have had your eyes open and to have been given the spirit of obedience to serve the Lord, because it is going to be bad. All right, it is going to be bad. And the thing that what makes it worse is there's going to be there's only one escape. Let me put it that way. There's only one way. And that one way is through the Heavenly Father. There is no other way. No matter what it seems like, there is no other way. And people are going to find that out the hard way. And when that time comes, you know what they're going to try to do? Now they're going to try to come to that one way. Just like when the water came down, they tried to go into Noah's Ark. I'm pretty sure there were people who looked and mocked and ridiculed and said, "You never catch me in something like that." But where were you running to at the end? So we know how this goes. You know, you look at history, you can already see how these things play out. But hey, such is the Lord's plan. I got one more precept here. But for us, what that means is, you know, we got to make sure that, you know, if you're on that track, you're running that race, you know, stay on it, right? Keep running, keep doing what you're doing, and don't fall now. Cause shit, if you fall now, yeah, no, you ain't, I don't know if you're gonna be able to get back up from that. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 17. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? And what days are those? These days. Imagine a time that's so horrific that seeing it in a vision makes your heart sink to your ass, wondering how are you gonna make it in that time? Like, it's so bad. You know, like when you when something is coming up, right? Say like rent is due and you don't have it, and you know that it's coming up in a few days. Yeah, every so often the thought comes into your mind. It's something in the future, but it's so bad that every so often it comes into your mind, like, damn, yo, rent is coming up. How am I gonna raise the money for it, or how am I gonna do X, Y, and Z? Imagine and that feeling, right, is so bad that the worse that the event actually is, the distance between you and that event happening doesn't really matter as much, right? Let me give you an example, right? Examples are really good explainers. So imagine you had that rent coming up, but it was at the end of the year, and now you're in January. It's not as bad in your mind because you're like, oh, I mean, I know I got to pay it, but shit, I got a whole year. So it's bad, but it's not that bad, right? Because it's rent. But now that same 12 months, let's say it wasn't rent that was due at the end of that 12 months, but instead they you know, let's just say hypothetically somebody was told they had a terminal illness and that the last day would be the end of that. Then all of a sudden, 12 months doesn't seem like a long time anymore. Now every other day it's bugging your mind like, damn, like shit, yo, your time is almost up. You only got a couple months left. So the worse the event is, the more anxiety it gives you, regardless of how far in the future it is. That's the point I was trying to make. So how bad does an event have to be to where we're talking thousands of years in the future, and it's causing you anxiety now? It's stressing you out now just to see that. That's why Ezra was making the remarks he's making, seeing those things, and he's like, hey, shit. It's probably not going to be in my lifetime because, that technology, those buildings, the things I'm seeing there, we're not there yet. But at some point, if I'm going to meet that, man, it doesn't matter how far in the future it is. That's a stressful time. Verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. So what did he see that stressed him out so much? And it was the same kind of, sentiment with the different prophets that saw these things. Did you think Yahushua himself was going to warn you about this time, right, of great sorrows, the beginning of sorrows, right? And then it just wouldn't happen. We would just talk about it again and again and again, and it just wouldn't happen. No, that's not the case. Now the Lord is going to have you, be in the stead of a prophet. Now you're going to start speaking on these things. And from what perspective? from the live and direct perspective. Now, people are going to start speaking of these things, not from how we spoke about it, about this is about to happen. Soon they're going to do this. They're going to have this. You're going to have to do that. Soon it's going to be the reverse, where we're not speaking, they're speaking to us. And they're not speaking about what's about to happen. They're speaking about what they're going through. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. It's going to be death like you've never seen it before. The beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. People are going to die of starvation. They're going to die of diseases. They're going to die through war. They're going to die through so many different things. You're going to find out just how delicate life is in that time, because all it takes is one cut that gets infected. And it's not like today, just put some alcohol in it, or it gets bad, you just call the doctor and try to find an appointment day and then go and get it checked out. No, ain't none of that. And that's how you see, damn, real life is like, you playing on hardcore mode with no respawn. Because how can just a tiny bug bite lead to your face is blue now? Shit. Yeah, that's the time that's coming. And if you don't have the Lord looking out for you, you're not going to make it. Right? You're just going to be one of the stories that we read about in terms of judgment, right? When it mentions a great death, it's great because a lot of people are dying. Well, guess what? There's people if this is a movie, then people got to play that role. So we're here. And, we're going to rely upon Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, right? And pray for his mercy, and run into the protection, right, of the Lord. But for those that have not, if the Lord doesn't know you, there is no protection for you, right? If you haven't been taking heed to the message, you're going to be in a very bad position. Anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Repent. Until next time, Shalom.